welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be making a start on showing you all of my completed pages, so every page I've ever coloured plus all my WIPs. Let's get started. I will start with this small book, nice and easy because it's a Rita Berman. I've only done a couple of pictures in here. The first one that I did is right at the start. I did this with a combination with pencil, so I've used Black Widows. I know I used my luminance for the greens and also the blue as well, I think. And then because I had a small incident with the pencil dust, where newbie error, I just swiped away some pencil dust and got this massive streak because luminance are really highly pigmented and I couldn't erase it. So when in doubt, grab the black acrylic paint. Yeah, so I did that. I'm not going to go in chronological order as such. Where did I do that? So I did that on the 30th of June 2019. I'm just grabbing books as I go though and showing the pictures as I've done them, but just not in chronological order. So this one is just a really simple one. I'm not a fan particularly of these sort of wallpaper-ish page. I know it's not strictly speaking a wallpaper, it's all different images, but generally these aren't my things. But I just got the Arteza fine liners, and so I look for pages that I'm perhaps not so fond of, and that's the pages that I use to test my mediums on. So most of this is done with Arteza fine liners. I wanted to see if it bleeds. They do, but then I am quite heavy-handed. And then I only did half of it for a while, and then eventually I came back. I think I've come back and finished it just with some super tips. So I did that in April 2019. That is all I've done from Rita Berman's book. She's the only one I've got of hers. I really like her books though. I need to do more. Next, I'm going to do some of my colouring heavens, because when I started colouring back in the beginning, so I've been colouring about two plus years. I started in spring 2018, and I started like most people with a bit of Joanna Basford. I had a couple of Kirby Rosanis books, and then I subscribed to Colouring Heaven. So this was basically my main what's the word I'm looking for? Source. My main source of colouring, new colouring books for a while. And this book, the Fairytale special, not only was this the first Colouring Heaven that I ever bought, it's also the first Hannah Lynn book I ever bought. So I've got quite a soft spot for this book. So I did this on the 24th of July 2018. I did this mostly with Sharpies. I did do a little bit of pencil work. I want to see I've done some on the leaves and on the candy house, a bit on the hair. I also remember that I had a bit of a trauma with this face because I had just got the Faber-Castell Pit Artist pens, which, everybody talks about them being ink based, and they are ink based as opposed to, just normal colours. But they're also water based, and it just didn't occur to me, so I was like, boop, 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 boop. Oh dear, completely like streaked and everything. I was just like, no. So I had to really go over him in pencil over the top to get rid of the streaks, which is why he's slightly more tan than she is. On the right side, they don't actually bleed. So that's his face. That's the one that I did in pencil. I really like this picture. I don't know why. I think it's all to do with, I just like this really bright pink and sort of teal green that I've used. Like the really poppy colours. That's the fun part of Sharpies, really, isn't it? So it's a really bright picture. As I say, not much pencil going on. The pencils I used were my marker Raffines, because those are the first decent-ish pencils that I got, because they actually had some pigment. But yeah, that's one of the earliest pictures I ever did that. And then the next one I've done in here is my mermaid. By now I've found that alcohol markers and that they can do skin tone, because before then I only had Sharpies. These were the Home Cube markers. So I've Sharpie for the background, home cube marker, alcohol marker for her skin tone. I had this bright idea that I would do her tail as a rainbow, which I regret, but her hair, I love how her hair turned out. I don't know why, I've never done hair like this again, I really should, but I just love this sort of pastel combination. Again, these was the Marker Affines. They do have some really nice pastel colours in their 72 set. So yeah, I should really go and do more hair like this. And then, what else have I done? I've got silver gel pen. I don't know if the camera could pick it up. I can never tell. And I've done that on, like, on her fish scales as well. As I say, I regret doing a rainbow tail. I should have just done a plain tail. It seemed like a good idea at the time, but as soon as I started, I knew it was bad. But once you're about halfway, you're committed, aren't you? So I did that one on the 29th of October 2018. When I say done, that's when I finished. Sometimes these pages take me months to do because I start and then I pop back and do bits and it takes me months to finish. So this is actually the first picture that I ever did in this book. I based it with super tips, at which point I found out that they streak. Things I was learning at the time, water-based markers all streak, and I found out as well that I'm a bit OCD about those kind of lines. Lots of people don't mind them. I'm actually quite jealous of people that can ignore them, but I can't. They drive me nuts. So given the choice, I would do alcohol markers, but this time this was my super tips. Consequently, I had to go over this really heavily in pencil. Again, this was still the Marker Affines. I had this bright idea at the time, it seemed so wise, that I would do a sort of sunset, and it didn't occur to me until after I'd done this, you know, part of it. They only had like 2 centimeters to work in this gradient. Just like, yeah, that's not going to work so well. I mean, it's okay, but it's like blue to orange in 2 centimeters. I do love my little wolves though. This was the first time I'd even tried fur as well. I mean, I know they're only little, so it's nothing to boast a medal for, but they're so cute. I really like how they turned out. And what else did I do? And for the white ruffles, I used white gel pen, obviously, but also, I don't know if this is going to see as well on camera, but basically I just dotted a red and a gold glitter gel pen and literally just speckled the whole thing across. So it's not super glittery as such, but it's just like one of these things that if you turn it, you might get a hint of a sparkle. But yeah, for one of my earliest pictures, really happy with that one. Quite fond of that one. And this one I did on the, did I say the date for that last one? I did finish that on the 30th of June 2018. And this one I finished on the 26th of March 2019. So I've based it with the home cubes and some Sharpies basically. And then just a bit of pencil work over the top just to give mine a shade in. Again, this is the Marker Affines. Even though I've got other pencils now, different sets, I still tend to gravitate to the Marker Affines for pencil work over alcohol markers, just because like it's a decent set of pencils still, you know, 72 pencils, and I hate abandoning things. It feels like such a waste to have some pencils that never get used. So even though now I'm not actually that fond of them, I mean, they had their place and they was good for the time that I had them in my colouring journey, but I've moved on from them. But I still bust them out just now and then because I hate to feel like I'm wasting them. She's got a little bit of glitter on her crown. The clouds I poskered over the key lines so that they look like clouds. My mermaid, I should have done her with the multicolour hair, shouldn't I? but then I'd have had to have done the rainbow tail. But yeah, that could have been a nice link in with the other picture, couldn't it? Things you think of after the fact. But yes, so I did that in March 2019. And that's all I've actually done in this book, apart from one time I had some acrylic black paint left over from when I was painting something else, so I've got a couple of backgrounds on. But aside from that, that is all I have done from the Colour in Heaven Fairytale special. So that was issue 36. Right, next, Fairies and Friends special. So this was by Meredith Dillman. I've done a couple in here as well. This one I've done, I really like this one for two reasons. One, because the black background does make all the colours pop out, but also because this was actually a bit of a disaster initially, and I saved it. So never give up on your pictures, even though they go wrong, and this did go wrong. Never give up. So basically, I just got the Arteza real brush pens, and one of the techniques for doing those is, you know, you lay the colour down on a plate or something, you know, plasticky or something non-porous, and then you pick the colour up with a watercolour, with a water brush. So I thought, alright, great, I'll try that. I'd never done it before. And I did it on the flowers. Well, I started on her dress and I seemed to do okay, but then I went on the flowers, and I mean, just look at the shapes of them. They've just gone. So obviously I used just way too much water, and it just bled like crazy. And I mean, bear in mind this is the back, so it's not as bad on the back as it was on the front. Yeah, I mean, does that look like a flower to you? No. So it all went horribly wrong with these flowers. I was like, ah. But you know, I left it for a while because I didn't know what to do about it, really. I didn't have the experience to know how to fix things at that point. And then I came back, I think, and I did the leaves. I didn't do that as watercolour. I did it as like tip to tip, just straight marker to the page. Came back, I did the skin tone, which I've done with alcohol marker, then pencil over the top, pencil on the hair, I think, or actually no, I used my pit pens, I think, on the hair for some reason. I guess I was trying it out. And then it occurred to me to put a black background over it, and then that would cover up all of the bleed, and I could bring my flowers back. So I did that, and then I just I did the fairy wings, which I put some metallic and glitter gel pens on, just to give that a little bit of sheen. And oh, and I put a little bit of gold around the key line on her shoes, because I'd already done her shoes black and they wouldn't have really stood out too well against the background, so I just did that to try and separate them out. And I look at that picture and I really like how it turned out. So I eventually finished it on the 1st of December 2018, but that was the first picture I started, I think, when I got this issue, which would have been about July. So yeah, it took me the best parts of 6 months to figure out how to fix it, but I got there and I really like how it turned out. So this is another picture that I did. Again, I've used alcohol markers, so I've just based her dress, her skin and the flower in the alcohol marker, and then I've gone over the top again with the marker affines just to give a little bit of shading. I mean, the hair, I'd like to think I've got a little bit better with the hair, like to give some texture. Maybe probably not a lot better, but still a bit better. But I really like how my poppy turned out. I actually got some, I was quite bold, and I wasn't so scared about putting a really dark shadow in here. So by my standards, that's really brave. And then I just used the Mungyo chalk pastels for the background. So I've done blue at the top, green at the bottom, so grass and sky, because I'm really original. These are the marker affine pencils again, those pastels just on her wings. It just gives, I really like her. You'll see I use them on wings, fairy wings, a lot. I've done it in a few other places as well. And then I just put some metallic pen over the black key lines so they would be a bit less in your face. So yeah, I did that, and I completed that on the 11th of September 2018. And then the next one is WIP. I had a bit of a hiccup with the face. So you can see there where I had the bright idea that I'd seen people blending with markers, so I just tried to blend with my marker, which, considering the paper it's on, considering it was just a cheap marker, considering I'd never done it before, considering the face was like this big and is not ideal for trying to blend because you want a larger area. She just went the strangest, darkest. It was a bit of a mess. So I've tried putting pencil over, and she's just got a bit muddy instead. I don't know. Eventually I will come back to her. I just need to figure out how to fix this mess of a face. I mean, already I know now, because like part of the problem was I took away some of the key line. It all went grey and muddy. I've got like fine liner type pens now that I could reintroduce the key line. So maybe I'll give it time. I will come back to this, and then I just need to do her hair and put a background on, really. Bit of shading on her dress as well, probably. I've done this in fine liners, which is unusual for me. I don't tend to use water-based markers very much, though I suppose back then I didn't know much better. But yeah, so that's a WIP, and I've got one more in this book. Just that I'm doing this one. Okay, again, alcohol marker. I just felt like putting down some base for stuff, so I need to obviously go over the ground, because I mean it's patchy, but that's okay because it's an uneven ground and I'm going over the top in pencil anyway. And I have visions of doing this all sort of gold filigree type embroidery, etc. on her dress. But yeah, I've not touched that for a while. I need to go and, you know, put some work into this, because there's no reason not to. Nothing went wrong with it. I just didn't get around to going back to it. So that's all I've done in that one. Then we have the Strangeling special by Jasmine Beckett Griffith. Now, if you've seen my videos that I've done of my complete adult colouring book collection, if you've not, I'll put a link up in the corner for the playlist. There's five videos about my entire colouring book collection, but if you'll see in one of those where I mentioned that I really like Jasmine Beckett Griffith. I love her girls, I love her art, I love her paintings, but I'm not the best at skin tone and faces, and I don't particularly want to be, because it's not my favourite thing to colour. But I really like her, but her big faces just, I don't want to say scare isn't the right word, but it's not something I anticipate looking forward to. Anyway, I've only done one in this book. She actually turned out alright, but I don't know, I kind of lost my mojo a bit on this picture, and you can tell because I've just coloured it in. I've not even done any shading. Not done any shading on her, apart from her face. I've made a token effort on her hair, but not really tried. Nothing on the butterflies, and I've made a token effort to put some grass in the background. But yeah, for some reason I remember I had this on the go for ages, that I'd done her face, but which for me is the hard part, and I just couldn't find the will in me to do it properly. So in the end it was one of them types where you just like, right, I'm just going to do it and get it out of the way with. I finished this on the 31st of May 2019. Again, I've used alcohol markers to base it with, and also I've used these, I've got some really cheapish watercolour paints that have just ever so slightly a sheen to them, so I've just used a little bit of that over the water, so it's water, yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's funny, I look at it's all right, I'm not upset about it, but it's just one of those ones that if I was doing it now, I know that I could do a better job of it. The only other ones I've done in this one, well, I haven't done them as such. I went through with my skin tone marker and put a couple of faces on. I've got a bit of a streak there, but I can fix that with pencil. And there was one other as well that I made a bit of a mess of, which in hindsight I realised it was because she's really blotchy. I realised that my marker was actually running out, but that's nothing I can't fix with pencil. I just have to be in the mood to give it a go. So that's my Strangeling special. On to witches. The pictures in here are tarot, and I kind of like them, but also none of them really seem to grab me. And I attempted right when I got this book to do a picture, and then I had a bit of a skin mishap. So I did her, and then I made him ginger, and I thought, right, well, if he's ginger, I'll make him really pale. And I chose for some reason this kind of yellow. You can see it better on the back. It was a yellow, and I just made him look like he had jaundice, or what is it, like liver disease. I was like, oh. So I tried to take some of the yellow out with pencil over the top, but he's still yellow. So I don't know what I'm going to do about him. But as I say, this book, whilst I individually like some of the pictures, none of them really grab at me to do. So it's not a favourite, and I've not had much desire to go back and fix it. Well, one day I will. As I say, I never consider a WIP completely abandoned, even if I've got WIPs going on for like 2 years and I still work on them sometimes. I just do 10 minutes or whatever. So this is my Halloween special. I've only done one in here. Well, I've started this one. I've just laid down the skin tone and given her a blue dress, so one day I'll get round to her, perhaps this Halloween. And this is the one I've done. It's a Selena Fenwick one from the Witching Hour. Again, alcohol markers for the base. The sky is patchy, but I'm actually okay with patchy sky because, like, it just gives it some texture. So sometimes I actually do that on purpose, where I'll just go a bit deeper with my marker to try and give it a bit of texture. But yeah, alcohol markers, and then I've used a bit of pencil over the top. I've tried to give her this white wispy hair, which I'm not sure that's actually worked very well, but it's alright. But yeah, not really much to say about that one because it's a fairly simple one. And I think that's the only one I've done out of this Halloween book. I really must get back to it because I like these Ennis Guerrero pictures to be brave enough to try them. Right, so that's that one. Next we have a Molly Harrison book. This is a grayscale book. So I did this one. It went a little bit awry on me. I used watercolour on the background, and it all went a little bit. Clearly I used too much water. I mean, try as I might to flatten this book out and everything, it's not even. It doesn't even have that crinkly sound to it very much. It just feels limp. Poor paper, I've destroyed it. Create Space paper isn't great, but I do like here, if you've seen, I mentioned it earlier, the Marco Raffines. So I really love how her fairy wing turned out with these pastels. Apart from that, that's really the only thing that I thought was a success. This bottom bit was actually like a sort of balustrade on a veranda, like a stone balcony wall. It just looked so weird. I used the wrong marker or something, I don't know, but it just didn't sit right. So I just blacked it out, because blacking out a background always fixes mistakes, I found. So yeah, that one I finished on, when did I do that one? I finished it on the 1st of June this year, but I'd started this in 2018. I think that's when this year is when I just decided to black out the background. And I've got another one that is a WIP. This is a bit strange. I bought some like jumbo pencils from Lidl, which is a budget supermarket, and I thought I'll just test them out. And initially it went down alright, but I don't know if you can see now, over time, like it's gone really patchy. Like where the shine is, it's almost like it's lost its colour. So I'm going to have to go over that with something else. Again, we got my stripy wings. I've not done such a good job with it on that one. I think I was also using the budget pencils in part for that. But yeah, I need to get back to this. I need to fix her splotchy dress and then put some background on, and then that would be fine. And then one more that I've done in here. As you can see, I've based it. That's my test page. Ignore the mess there. I've based it in alcohol marker. As you can see, her skin initially was just that sort of peachy colour, but then I decided I think I did her wings first, and the wings in red, and I thought, yeah, I'm going to make her more of an imp. So I think this is the only time, certainly the first time, but I think it might even be the only time that I've actually done a skin tone that's not, you know, realistic. But she's my imp. And it's also the time I found out that instead of using the Posca pen, I quite like the effect of using a nice, vibrant, I think I used my luminance, I've got buff titanium, I used the luminance to put in the highlights, as opposed to using a Posca pen, which I really like for it's a more subtle effect. But yeah, I really like her. I finished her on the 29th of October 2018. Next, I'll just do a very quick one from this one, because this is just a cheapy book from Lidl again. I've only done one in here. I just did some koi carp. I did this with super tips, which is, I say, it's quite unusual for me because I don't like watermark markers. They bled through anyway. I may as well have just used alcohol markers. But yeah, you'll notice there isn't really any streaking, and that's because I went over everything like twice, which is why it bled through. But it didn't streak, so whatever. And then I've just put on some silver gel pen. I quite like to do the silver gel pen over the black key lines, because it takes the edge off of it a little bit looking on, but also when you tilt the page, it just gives it a little bit of something a little bit more interesting. So I've key lined everything, the shells, the fish. Yeah. And I did that on 26th of November 2018. Creative Haven book. This is my book that I got from when I was on holiday in Florida. Picked it up in Ollie's for 99 cents. It was amazing. I wish I'd bought the others. So this is the first one I've done. I've done this with, I don't know if you can see it, but I've done it with glitter gel pens. And I've actually blended the gel pens, so if you can see from the oranges, the leaves, like there's a bit of dark fading out there and there. So yeah, I have actually, you can use gel pens to blend, but I tend to do it on single-sided because they will obviously shadow through, sometimes even bleed through, because you're using so much ink to do the blend. But I did that on the 8th of December 2018, so not long after I'd got the book. And then I've done this one, which I just based with alcohol markers. Again, with my mandalas, I don't tend to do a lot of shading, pencil shading, because I'm doing it because I want something nice and easy. I did again do my trick of going over the key lines, so in a sort of glitter gel pen. So I've done the butterflies, and I've done all the key lines and around the butterflies, but around the daffodils. Yeah, but you know, a nice simple picture. And then last but not least, I've done this one. So to contradict myself straight away, I have actually done a bit of shading on this one, just a little bit on the shells. It's very subtle though. I've just slapped on a bit just to make it a bit more interesting. Then I've used my Sakura jelly roll silver on this, but it didn't agree with the paper too much. I don't know if you can actually see it from there, but it kind of tore up the paper. It says a lot for how juicy the Sakura jelly rolls are, because it dug into the tooth a bit really. And then I've done the the water in a couple of blues, and again I've used that shimmer water colour just to go over the top, just to give it a little bit of a little hint of shine. And I did that one on, when did I do that one? I did that one on the 12th of August 2019. So that is that book. And this one I've done, so this is Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. All I've done in this one, I've got my luminance pencils. I don't have a set of luminance or anything, but I've picked up a few open stock, including some that could be used for skin tone. So I was, you know, just doing a little test there for the skin tone. I quite liked how it turned out, because I mean, I know she's a bit rosy, and but if you look at it, she has these sort of greenish yellow undertones, and sort of, so she is a bit brighter. But I do like that I've managed to actually get a little bit of that yellowish undertone in there. For me, this is like amazing. Me and skin tones in pencils to boot is yeah, that's amazing. So this is the only other one I've got in here on the go. Again, it's another WIP, and again I've just got a few open stock Inktense, so I gave them a go in here. I picked up a couple of greens, and I think I picked up like a cherry pink or red and an orange, so I was just trying them out in here. I really like how that was going. I should come back and at least finish the flowers, or I should, you know, get myself a full set of Inktense, and then I could go and do the whole thing. But for now, it's a WIP, and the paper in this book is really good, so when it's finished it'll look great. So I'll just do this last book. This is a cheapy book that I got from Lidl. It's, even when I got it home, I was like, why have I bought this? Because it's all wallpaper pages, which is really not me. But you know what it's like when you just start in colouring. You're a bit excited, and you're just like, oh. But I did manage to do one in here at least. This is with gel pens, the glitter gel pens, and some metallic ones. Just a simple wallpaper page. Apart from that, I've only really used this for testing mediums and pencils. Obviously I've done some flowers there with some, you know, a couple of blends and pencils. Even the glitter gel pens I'd practiced. This one I don't really know what I was doing. Maybe colour combos, I'm not sure. Luminous orange, I have no idea. And then one more page. This is where I was testing my fine liners, just to see if they would blend. They don't really, but you can sort of layer them to give a little bit of texture. But I couldn't get them to lay. And the paper is surprisingly good in this book, so I couldn't get them to blend even with decent paper. But eventually I'll probably come back and finish this, because even my test pages, I like to kind of finish them up and consider them, you know, a finished picture. And then I think that's it for now. I will stop it there, because I don't like my videos to run more than 30 minutes or so, and I think I'm already over that. So thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up, because it's good for the channel. Also, if you haven't subscribed, do hit the subscribe button. If you hit the little bell, then you'll get a notification of when I upload a new video, including the next part of this series, because obviously this is not all the pictures I've coloured. I've got way more, and well, way more WIPs if nothing else, because I'm terrible at starting pictures and not finishing them. So yeah, do check by and see the next part of the video as well. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. Take care and see you again soon. Bye for now. Bye.